Okay. What's up, my Ricans? We're back, and guess what we have today? Nothing. Well, we're gonna make something happen. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the zone where geeks collide, where comics and heroes come alive. Marvel, DC, Starfleet in the mix. Lightsabers flash, we're nerding out quick. Rican's the name of the show. Dive into the worlds you already know. From the big screens to the comic store. Super stories and so much more.
New episode of Rican. So we are going to be hopefully, I guess, talking about some new shows. Nothing.
We're just gonna talk about nothing.
Well,
Nothing's
what's your
coming to mind.
what's your
Oh, I got something.
All right.
No, that's nothing. Oh, here's a thought. Okay, what if you had the power to say yay or nay to giving a show a second chance? Which ones would you do? I'll throw a show at you.
Was it pre-canceled or not canceled yet?
Pre-canceled.
So shows that are already canceled.
Pre-canceled. I'm going to throw one at you, and then you're going to tell me whether it should be given a second chance or be like Caesar and thumbs down and let the Iron Lions eat it. Okay, ready? Okay. The Inhumans.
I think it should be given a second chance just because I think that Inhumans were not given the due that it was given. A lot of people were mad because they were like, oh, I thought they were mutants. No, that wasn't the case. Inhumans are completely different characters.
True. I'm more for it because, you got to give Anson Mount his due. And I think...
And he just finished Star Trek too.
And if anything else, he did prove himself in Marvel's Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where not only did he come black as Black Bolt, but he was comic book accurate Black Bolt. Though his ending was, messed up. Messed up to say the least.
I say keep it in the boat.
I think
I'm old school, and it reminds me of this one show called Misfits of Science.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one though.
I have.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So that didn't work. You bring the Inhumans. That's why. But Misfits of Science worked because there were science people and something happened and they now have powers. But it was similar to them. Like, were they teenagers or?
More or less.
Like
More or less.
They were like in the 20s.
In the 20s.
Misfits of Science were like in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and plus they didn't let it grow. So, and I didn't see where they could grow. So maybe that's why I say keep it.
But I think also people forget that the Inhuman show was a continuation of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. brought in Inhumans, or you had Quake and all these characters. And then they did the show Inhumans. And I think a lot of people were expecting something different, and or people who didn't know that it was connected to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were like, oh, these are mutants. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, and then Captain Marvel, it's an Inhuman as a concept is easy if you're watching Captain Marvel. That's a part of Captain Marvel's world as well. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like the hate or against those characters was so dumb.
Well, the characters were good. I'm talking about the show overall. I didn't think
Didn't have a punch.
It
didn't have the punch.
It
didn't have it. It was. I mean, Anson's character was there, but it's like the supporting cast didn't really, like he's up here and they're somewhere down here.
And
it is not elevated enough.
You know how they took it off. If any of y'all were like, damn, why? I didn't care.
Well,
because he didn't have that punch.
Yeah, he didn't have it.
Like, damn, I wanted to know what happened. There was nothing.
Exactly. And the thing is, his character was one that couldn't speak because his power, which is a whisper, could lay out a mountain. He's a little, and sorry, I did that. That sort of thing.
Don't give him no ginger ale.
No, I'm serious, man. Don't go tickling.
One burp.
Don't give him a foot massage. That's all I say. Stay away from giving him the giggles. Todo se jodió. You know?
So,
no, he wasn't laughing.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Oh my God, yeah, no, poor Black Bolt. He would have been.
And one of the other things I did like, they got Lockjaw right. Even though he was a CGI character, love Lockjaw.
But this is also why I hate the movies, and I get mad at I don't want to say hate. I get mad at the movies because when they introduced Kamala Khan's character, and I was like so excited because she's an Inhuman and she runs around with Lockjaw. So I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna introduce.
Yeah. But they didn't.
They didn't do the storyline. She's not an Inhuman, as far as I know.
Not, but the bangle that she wears is a quantum band. They mentioned it in the Marvels. And then I was the first one to be like, then where's Quasar?
Yeah, where's the like? If you, we were talking about this too the other day. Like, if you're gonna do the character, that's fine. I don't care if you make a mashup, but make them good. Like, if you're gonna make Kamala something else, make her amazing. Like, yeah, that made me so mad. I was
It's like you mash these two characters up together. She's an Inhuman, but she has the quantum bands. So she's part of the space part of Marvel, which Captain Marvel, which why she was part of the Marvels. But she's also would be considered either Inhuman or mutant, because the bangles do something. They project. They project her thoughts and project constructs and stuff.
So
but
dumb.
again, it's like
so she's like a ghetto Green Lantern.
Exactly.
And
so,
see, I didn't watch the movies because I tried to watch the movie. I didn't finish the movie. We get clear because of that. Like the way that it felt like she has the power. She's like fantastic. She's like Mr. Fantastic. She can stretch. She does and big and small. Like there was room to give us a better introduction to the Inhumans in the movies, and they really dropped the ball in that aspect.
The thing is, you just said it without even noticing you said it. They regurgitating the same hero, the same power. You're gonna tell me everybody has a flying ability, and everybody has. There's many different powers you can probably use, like the Wonder Twins, even though his had a stupid power, which is the water. But something like that. It's like out of the ordinary, have them with different powers.
Yeah.
But they all have similar powers to other superheroes.
Yeah, it's like watching The Boys. You
And they were not even sons or daughters.
No.
Like, that would have been something. Okay, they sons and daughters. That's why he's acting like Superman.
Yeah.
That's why he's acting like But no.
Yeah.
That's why
Like, oh, you have similar powers to this person, or you have this and whatever.
Yeah.
There's not that many unique superpowers.
There's not.
Well, there are. It's just that they're not delved into, because a lot of people were like, "This is dumb," and this and this. Like I brought up the one day, like, someone had once said, like, "Oh, a stupid superpower would be being able to move something like a centimeter to the left or to the right or whatever."
Yes.
Right? That sounds dumb, but then if I go and I move your heart a centimeter to the left in your chest and move nothing else, that becomes the most deadliest thing I've ever done.
Yes.
So like, objectively dumb, but like in actual practice, it's terrifying. So like little things like that, like I would love to see a whole thing of like characters with these crazy powers that are just out there.
There is something like that. It's called The Boys, and they've come up with
Boys
powers that sometimes
that comic is so good.
I'm left like
It's good, and people again, they so used to these superhero nice and things. They gotta remember they're somewhat human themselves. So the boys were like, fuck, I'm not gonna go save this bitch again.
Yeah.
You know, like, oops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oops.
So.
Well, there's a lot of that in The Boys. And I'm like,
it was an adult superhero type of movie.
Yeah.
Season 3, half an hour. Oh no.
Penis one was hilarious.
No. That's not hilarious. No. You might have found it funny. I'm still thinking I need therapy after what I watched.
The butt.
No.
Which one?
The other end. The little tickly. Hey, shoot. That the second, and I'm stupid enough, me pendejo, say, wait, what was happening again? Let me look at that again. I rewind it, and I'm like, and then when I see it, I'm like,
oh. I did that with the penis.
And I'm in the back of my mind.
I turned around and all I heard was poof.
Nope.
No.
Turn around for a second.
What the hell?
Ice cream. He didn't ice cream. The second time I went, oh!
That's like.
I thought that the girl did something to him.
No, it was a dude. No, it was a dude.
No, that's what I said. That's why I heard it.
I heard it.
Said, oh, shit. Let me rewind this. I was like, aye.
They have that.
I like
way
when they
too
do
much.
things that you haven't seen before, like the comic. I've been a while since I've read the comic, but and I haven't been able to watch the show all the way through because that man turns my brain off. But like, from what I understand, it does deviate slightly from the comics. Not a lot.
Slightly.
Is it?
I think a little
No.
All right, then I'm gonna have to watch it because like I haven't heard anybody make a comparison.
Well, the comparison is really that, and I say this
I
reading
guess
both.
the graphics more, so you can.
Yeah.
Well,
like Invincible, I've heard a lot about.
Right.
I've never read anything.
I have read it. And
So
so when I say that the book sometimes slightly exceeds in the graphics, it's not a lie, but it's getting there. In each season, it just surpasses me what they come up with.
Yeah.
For those who watch it, all I got to say is one thing. Rip Claw, season 2. I will never view my face as a place to sit ever again after watching that scene. and it was as gorgeous as it was in the beginning, and it was just as disgusting in the end when it happened.
That's why I say that in humans, you need to stay in the hole.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing I've been seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me something different. If they would have cut it out, I'd be like, to make a good show want to come back, you got to be like, why so soon? Wow, they didn't even explain that, but the humans didn't do any of that.
The idea was,
I didn't even notice that the other season never came back.
but the idea was that
is
now
true.
that they have
it kind of came and went. Yeah.
the idea that Marvel has is that since they have the X-Men, which cross between both them, the Eternals, and so there's a cross right there. And they have a lot of stories that they intermix with each other. That now they can write those, take a comic book issue where they were combined or crossed over, and then use something like that to bring these three in, so that way it elevates the Inhumans, elevates the Eternals, and of course, well, you know what? I don't think the X-Men needs to be elevated because it's been established.
No, X-Men to me is a problem. X-Men is the reason why they don't look for other, because X-Men is the WWE.
Yes.
They have the same wrestlers all the time. Like, you got a whole bunch of other wrestlers, but you want to only use these 5. X-Men have a bunch of other mutants, but you only want to use these.
Yeah, there's
You got a school of mutants, but you only want to use these.
One of my favorite mutants is actually someone who's never, and it's funny because there's a fan theory that he has been in the movies, but because of what his gift is, he's called Forget-Me-Not. The moment you see him or you leave, you forget him, right? That he's been.
It was like, yes, he was.
Like,
he wasn't.
Yes,
we probably forgot.
Yeah. So there's a lot of fan theories about like maybe that he was in the movies, but because we can't perceive him, you don't visually see him. Like I remember correctly in the comic books, he died and nobody knew he died. Like because there was a mission where he died, but they said it was like nobody died because nobody remembered him.
There was one guy that put a thing up when Charles was trying to find this girl before she became Phoenix.
Yeah.
He was searching through all the places. There's one part that he paused and then he thought about an idea. They said that wasn't him. That was Forget that told him, but then they forgot that he told him. I was dying.
Like Charles also has, if I remember correctly.
That's a weird power.
Yeah, he was used to go and get information, and because of his abilities, like nobody could remember him. He could come back and give like intelligence, and that Charles was utilizing that intelligence without realizing it because I think there's a comic.
That Charles was not really smart.
Yes.
No.
He was getting the information from him.
He
forgets that he got the information.
Yeah, he was utilizing people without realizing he was utilizing. And I think that he had like some weird psionic thing that he did that kind of gave him like somewhat of a memory of him. Yeah. So that way whenever he would see him again, he would remember.
Oh, okay.
So he could remember. Because nobody else, like you would see him, look away, and then forget about him and look back and be like, oh, who are you? Like you would not remember him for anything. So it's like.
Like in X-Men First Class, like when he took the, was it the Irish scientist and made her forget about Charles, about the kiss, about everything. And then only till about, I think, the Age of Apocalypse that he said, I'm sorry that I did this. And the minute he touched her, all those memories flooded back in. The
Unfortunately,
kiss, this and that.
Forget-Me-Not doesn't work that way.
Who's that guy that looks like a detective? He has no face. I forgot his name.
DC or Marvel? Because I know one in DC.
I don't remember if he was in DC or Marvel.
DC.
All I remember is a guy that was in the.
And his face listed, but he's got a hat and that's the question. And DC is called The Question.
Yes.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
Why did I think Rorschach? Because you said.
I was thinking the same.
They had so many different characters, but you're only going to do.
But and then also they were copying catting characters. A lot of characters are similar aspects in these things. There is a superhero in DC. No, sorry, he's a villain in DC that someone had told me about. His name is Snowflame.
Snowflame.
And he gets his power from cocaine.
Oh.
He was a Colombian drug lord who became a superhero.
I was just gonna say that must be something.
Yeah, and he becomes a villain, a super villain, and stuff like that. But like, see, like, there's a whole plethora of characters that have never been touched upon that, yes, sound ridiculous, but you know what? Go for it. You've already established your universe.
I'm just trying not to snort right now. That's all.
Imagine somebody be like, "You want this Pepsi?"
No.
Right. You can't. And you turn to Pepsi and you turn to like a Hulk or Jack.
Right? Like something like that.
Or something.
Like I can't look at peanut butter or it makes me into a crazy, something like that would be.
They have like people that can go through the walls and stuff like that. That's a unique.
Okay, Shadow Cat. She goes through walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a unique power. Some of them got 1 or 2 powers. You know.
Oh, you're talking about Emma Frost. So she's a telepath like Charles,
But she's got
but
the
she can
diamond.
turn
So,
into diamond form. That's a secondary mutation.
but that's what I'm saying. There's so much, but you concentrate on these same 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
'cause
there's
I wanna-
characters who aren't mutants or anything like that, who people are always like, they're mutant. I'm like, so like Juggernaut. He's not a mutant.
No, he's magical.
Yes,
He's the
exactly.
crimson gen
So
of
it's like,
Sidorak. It's
so
magic.
like the concept of these characters.
Basically, he's not even magical. His helmet is.
And he's not even
Exactly.
Australian.
And
That's
the-
what
and the
makes you
helmet
laugh.
is to
No, he's
prevent-
not British. Vinnie Jones did him in the third
But
movie.
the helmet is used to prevent his brother from controlling him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that he's Charles Xavier's brother. And a lot of people don't realize. So it's like, there's so many aspects that they have not utilized or gone into. They keep going
That's
into
why
the.
Magneto wears that.
Yeah.
Magneto wears well because he's smart enough. You don't want Charles in your
Yeah.
head.
But they keep, they
Exactly.
do keep rehashing the same storyline. Like, that's why, like, I had to give it to them when they did the Tom Holland Spider-Man. They didn't rehash the Uncle Ben storyline because we already know it.
Yeah.
Give us something else.
But
Like,
they gave us a good twist by having it done by May.
well,
And
no.
I think and it gave it a much, to me,
No.
a much stronger emotional effect when it was May that it happened to. Because I tell you the truth, I watched the other two and I felt sentimental. But let me tell you something, I cried when I literally started crying when it was May who told
But that
a
wasn't
great-
his
That's
move.
when I come from the commercial break that I thought about with me.
Then let's go to it, pay some bills. Well, I'm not paying the
I
bills.
love
You're
May.
paying the bills. I'll see you back in a little bit.
'Cause now that you-
Put your hands up! Are you ready?
Back to the Ricans, the show about nothing. And, we were covering the what if you had the power to bring back a show and give it a second chance.
Before that, I broke off with the conversation.
Yes, you did.
Aunt May, right?
Yeah, Aunt May.
So here's
Aunt
my
May.
theory of a what if Aunt May. Instead of, they killed the uncle, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a part where he was telling Aunt May the story about the uncle. And he paused because he forgot some part of the story, and the original. And then Aunt May told him. So I always thought, what about he was telling this story because that's why he thought he was telling. But as he got older and older, memories started coming back, and the killer was Aunt May. About that.
I don't see.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Because you know when tragedy happens, it blocks the truth
The
sometimes.
trauma.
Yeah.
The trauma.
So
yeah.
you thought it was the guy that killed your uncle all this time, but as memories start coming back to you, you realize it was Aunt May. And then Aunt May realized, you started realizing it, that little by little she was trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I would love to see like a what if storyline like that kind of takes
a
the
serial type of
like what if Uncle Ben got killed because he actually did something bad and it wasn't, but like Peter didn't know, and like he was targeted by this dude that like he targeted himself, and then he took a bullet, and instead of telling Peter like, by the way, this guy died, he was just like, oh, with great power comes great responsibility. Like meanwhile he was like a mafia don or something like that. Yeah.
To say was he was the original kingpin.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that. Well, you know
That
what?
would've been kinda cool.
In Spider-Verse, Spider-Gwen storyline goes into that, but it's their kingpin. He ends up getting murdered by his adopted son, who takes over, and his adopted son in that universe is Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's such a cool like take on those
Think
characters.
about it.
I got one in mind right now. It's like, what if Wolverine was actually a serial killer?
I mean, he
And
was
in the Weapon
though.
X program, when they wiped out his memory, they wiped out his memory of his past.
But he was
Of being that.
Strongman, right? He was supposed to be one of the strongmans for the.
No.
What they were building him wasn't.
Well, they
wasn't
gave
it
him
Red Skull
animate.
that was trying to build people like him to be the strongmans. You know, like the people that they pushed to kill people.
Well, yeah, like assassins. They
Yeah,
wanted to create
yeah.
assassins.
Like-
He was the
They call him
perfect
strongman,
assassin.
Yeah.
But the
That's
story
why I said-
goes
so he
they
was a serial killer.
he was a serial
Yeah.
killer. And he was methodical and he was feral. But then they said with his healing factor, we gave him adamantium. We've got to wipe out his memory because we don't know what's going to do because the pain and the shock of the adamantium can make him even more crazier, which means you have
But
something
people
deadlier.
didn't realize
But then he kills.
Wolverine was already a mutant before he got.
True.
Yeah,
But-
but he
but-
had
That's the reason
the.
why they gave him the blade.
Which, by the way,
Well, hold on, but before you
Remember
go,
his brother?
hold that thought for a second.
Yeah.
The clause that he comes out, say the reason why I say what if he was a serial killer is that he gets it back when he joins the X-Men because he says to Xavier, as in the original, I can't, I don't remember anything past the Weapon X program. And Xavier goes in, but then breaks down all the programming that they put in to keep this thing
Serial killer
locked.
locked.
And then all of a sudden he comes back, and you can see like one moment his eye just fills up, and then he just looks at Xavier right in the chest. Without even a second thought, just put his claws right through the chest.
Killing everybody.
Wolverine-
Killing everybody.
Wolverine-
Yeah, we just killing people. Bro.
Can you
We're
imagine?
just killing them all.
I just thought of it right now.
In
What
the
if
whole school.
they do a
Mhm.
what if storyline? What if Wolverine was actually the Zodiac killer? Like, come on, like you can't tell me that, or he was like actually Jack the Ripper. But yeah, like see storylines like that would be really cool.
He'll be old enough to be during
Yes!
that time, so
Yes!
Think
you
about
never
it.
know.
If you think about it, if he was a serial killer, they would be blaming a bear or somebody.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they're not even going to look for a human
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to think a human claws will come
Yeah.
out like that. This is a bear killing in the town.
It's an animal attack.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, an animal got him all right, but you're not the animal you're thinking of.
I do have to say though that the older I get and the more I start thinking like about certain characters' abilities, and I'm like, is this really like something that could happen? Like I know again, suspension of belief, it's not real, it's whatever. But then I'd be like, but like if this actually existed, would this be capable? So like with Wolverine, right? He has the bone claws. Like
Mhm.
it makes sense, the bone claws. But when he got the adamantium, because it fuses to his skeleton, right?
Yep.
This is what we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is he able to turn his wrist? How is he able to move anything? Because technically, if it's fused, he would just be able to only
Well,
do
it's supposed
this.
to be. What I did see was they did a skeleton one drawing of it,
Yeah.
and then they showed that the claws go from here to down here.
They were in between.
They were embedded
Yeah,
in his
but realistic.
forearm,
Okay.
and then when it comes out, it goes above his wrist, so hence he can move his wrist with the claws.
Yeah, but that's okay, the movie, but also the movie shows us him getting ejected. How are they perfectly aligning the metal to his
Yeah.
bones,
To his
right?
skeleton.
If they're injecting that into his skeleton, it's just fusing. There's no, hey, only go to the bones, like they're directing it like it's
Like, I know
nanos.
the blade
No.
would be in between the bone.
Well, I think it's
How?
the
It
bone
should've just been-
itself.
That comes out.
It's the
It should
bone
have been
itself.
just one giant like block of metal in his arm. How is that coming out? Like so
Mhm.
like when I started thinking about certain characters, I'm like, yeah, that would not work in reality. Or that
No.
just doesn't make sense, period. Unless again, suspension of disbelief and like, yeah, somehow it formed perfectly to his
Here's a perfect serial killer, the Wonder Twins. Think about it, right? She turns into like an animal, right?
Uh-huh.
He turns into water. I want to kill you, turn into icicles. I'll just throw you. Now you spiking them with the icicles. Now you turn back to a regular person. Nobody knows a weapon.
Ice can't be traced.
That
once
was
it
a
melts.
that was one of those old like
You know what I'm
who
saying?
done it
And
videos.
then if you have a gun and you try to shoot all the ice that's coming through, all you're doing is putting him down. He's gonna come right back up because that's part of his body.
Mhm.
So he's never gonna die.
If we're doing that, technically Kitty Pryde would be the most amazing
she-
serial killer.
she
Because she would be
would.
able to just reach into your body, pull out like a piece, and just kill you right there.
Freak that. Charles would probably be one. You make yourself kill
Charles
yourself.
is
You
a
make
serial
yourself
killer.
Kill yourself.
Yeah,
Charles
you make
is a serial killer.
Mhm.
See, there are characters who are secretly villains to the storyline, and then the villains who are actually anti-heroes. Like Charles Xavier, he's a villain.
Yeah.
Magneto,
He's-
anti-hero.
Magneto is.
No,
Anti-hero.
Charles is a cult leader.
Yes.
They
Yes.
They formed the
sir.
X-Men. So he formed the League of.
Were okay by themselves,
Mhm.
but since he has a problem with the humans, let me get these guys to say, you know what, the humans don't really like
League of
But
Assassins.
But together,
Mhm.
we can find. You're a serial killer.
Yeah.
All I had to hear was a kumbaya.
he was one step down from Manson. Like he was that very close to that. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of those characters fit into that.
Serial killer. She touches you. Ah.
Technically, the
Him.
only
All you have to do is put a card in your pocket and walk away.
only-
You go boom.
the only decent
he's
people in
more-
this is Jubilee and Cyclops. Those are the
No,
only two.
Cyclops is a jealous person. You don't want
Oh
him.
no, Cyclops is dangerous, bro.
That's it.
Especially
He's
you
not
miss-
evil.
Yeah.
But this one here-
He's real jealous. So he gonna shoot you.
This
He's
is the worst
only-
infiltrator.
He only had
This is your
beef with
infiltrator
Wolverine.
right here. Your infiltrator right there. Because all she got to do is go in there, hey, sugar, put her hand on your face. She knows it all.
That little southern
Everything.
accent,
Yeah.
melts you anyway.
Ah, sugar. And next thing you know,
Yeah.
you become sugar.
But,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
a lot
no.
of those things. Yeah, but going back to the Aunt May thing, what I wanted to say earlier was that her death in that movie was a great. I don't want to say it was a great thing, but it was great how they represented it because we already have the established Superman, right? We know Aunt Ben has already died and whatever. So now it's like he didn't need this death to push him into becoming a superhero. This death is what pushed him into realizing that I am doing things in a way that put people I love into harm's way, right?
Right.
This was
The
his
opposite.
This was his Gwen Stacy, right? So he didn't have Gwen Stacy's death. Which was
May.
what for him to realize that, oh crap, I'm putting people into danger.
Yeah.
Aunt May's death did that, but I think hers hit worse because of what the character represents and who she meant to him and to us as people, you know. But yeah, no, that death. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because even with the death itself, could bring him so many different ways. He could have been turned evil, revengeful evil.
Boy,
The worst.
he
Or he
was.
could have backed off and said, "I'm not going to be Spider-Man." It could have gone so many different ways.
True, but he was revengeful because when he found the Green Goblin again, he was going to kill him. If it wasn't for the other Spider-Man by Toby stepping in the way, he'd have been dead.
There's great representation of that in the movie too. That you see when they're all talking, how remember he's like delegating, like, oh, this is for this character, whatever, and then he takes the one that's meant for Osborn and he hits it on the table, and you just see Tobey Maguire's look at him like, oh, this is where we at in our timeline. All right, bet. I've been there before, so he already peeped that. So like, there's great, just the utilization of those three too was really cool. But yeah, man.
It's the whole. But again, with the universe thing, you can do so much. But you were saying you had another one that we could throw away or keep?
Another show we could throw away or keep?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, not the Inhumans. We already did the Inhumans. The Eternals.
But that wasn't a show. That was a movie. Wasn't
I
it?
know it's a movie, but if you had the power to say yay or nay, gave it a second chance,
part?
and give it a second shot.
I didn't even watch the movie.
I don't remember.
I did, but and
I watched it.
I watched it
So
too.
then I have to say in the book because I watched it and I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
I saw
don't think I watched
a
it.
glimpse last
Oh,
night.
did we? And it was just a forgettable guys here.
Oh no, our minds were wiped because we were watching the movies of Forget Me Not.
Yes,
that was our forget.
Well, like I said, I watched it. I'm never given that time back. Never.
I don't think it was that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good either. It was the in between. You know, it's like you had the moments when they were taking on the deviants, and it's like, okay, you got what's his name, Icarus, the Superman version, because you know he flies and he has strength.
Did he fly too close to the sun?
Too close, very close.
Sorry, that was a really nerdy reference.
But
Well,
I was surprised that
night doesn't get burned. That's what I heard. Stupid people.
Either way, as far as the Eternals are concerned, I'm like, I'm left with more questions than satisfaction. You know, it's like it was okay, but I'm left with questions like, okay, now you're in the modern world, what's going on?
I know it's stupid, but now I want to watch it because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, the only one thing that stood out that was used in another film for was it Captain America? It was a New World with the Falcon.
New World Order.
New World Order, I think it was. So the Eternal coming out of the ocean that was supposed to be, you know, that it's supposed to be on our planet, it's supposed to grow, and through what do you call it, cosmic events that happen. One of them was the snap by Thanos that caused a ripple that it actually aged him much more. And he was, instead of thousands of years later, it was much closer, like maybe another 10 years or another whatever. The time it took from that time till when he was coming out, and then one of the Eternals just snapped out of her head and said, no, these are not bad. They are, and they want to kill this, and we need to stop that from happening, and they did. They did, and that's what they got in the new Captain America film. They got adamantium from it because they found an element called adamantium, and then from that point, Red Hulk. And then you got, you know, so I'm like, do you give this movie a second chance in itself? Like, because you already, to me, I was like, I would say yes, because you already bridged it into another movie.
I think no, because that's what I was going to say. Because I think it was just a push to the other movies. You don't need to watch it again. Because it was just pushed for other movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
even
just
the end
their way of
credit.
trying out something different to see where it would go.
Where it goes.
But then they don't put as much. And I think the reason why those movies don't do as well as others, not because they're bad. I don't think that they're promoted as enough, and or they aren't given the same depth that the other movies are given and whatever.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, no one's gonna really see the Eternals, or if they are, they're only seeing it for, you know, we're a cash grab. Let's put it out there. So they're not giving it the dues that it deserves, and so the movie doesn't come out as good. So people are like, oh well, whatever. We went to go see it, and once was enough.
Basically, it had like almost the same run as it did in this comic book run, because in this comic book run, it wasn't that long. I'd say, what, 5 years at best, and then shelved away. Just like some of these others that I'm finding that they're taking the shelved ones and they're actually turning into movies. Like the one that was the big runaway hit, definitely Guardians of the Galaxy. They went through so many changes.
Nobody thought that was going to be big.
Hell no.
Nobody predicted that was
Hell
going to be
no.
good.
You know what I really think Galaxy made it big is the stars.
And James Gunn.
Right?
James Gunn was a huge fan and really was
Yeah.
like, I want to do X, Y, and Z.
They were allowed to bring their, you know, their own personal attitudes in there, so it made it more fun.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket.
And
I didn't realize he was Rocket until they did the premiere, and I was
Yeah.
like, why is Bradley Cooper there? And like, he's the voice of Rocket.
Yeah.
What?
And you wouldn't think that. And when I heard it, I was like, get out of here. That's why when I heard that very touching story of the fact that there was a kid that was, I think he had a stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. So he didn't have much time, but he was a huge fan of Guardians, especially Rocket Raccoon, his favorite character. So when I think either Bradley heard about it, somebody on the cast heard about it, went to the big wigs, because you had to go to the top. The movie is done, but not premiered yet. So they went to the top brass and they said, listen, this kid is only, he may not live to see the movie, and all he wants is to see the movie. So they made it happen. They had a private screening with him and the cast, including Bradley, to watch that. And I'm like, dude, really, what?
Like,
Yo, that's props, bro. That's props.
They did Galaxy did smart, because when they did Galaxy, WWE was making movies. And those movies were very popular. So they figured, let me use Batista because he's hot right now.
Yeah.
That helps too. So
Yeah.
that's why I made that. It has to be the right moment. So
Yeah.
the producers
Right
and
moment.
the directors have to use the moments.
Yeah.
Half of them don't.
So it's
That's
like
why it flops.
the elements that director, script, and then the actors that you got.
But the thing is that also too, like, not all directors are good. And that's what I always say, like, when certain movies are like not well presented or not good, period, everyone's always like, oh, because the actors, or because I'm like, no, 90% of the time I'm betting you is either the production got involved and messed everything up, or the director sucks, right? Because like, you're, as a director, you have to pull out those performances. Like, your character, those people on screen, it's your job to get that performance from them. And if you don't know how to talk to them, if you don't know how to like pull that emotion out of them, there's no way it's going to translate on screen, you know?
I think that you're correct, because I think that's the downfall in a lot of movies. They put an actor that's a freaking big fan of this, but you're telling them to do something that the character would never do.
Exactly.
He don't feel it. He's like, the character's not gonna do that.
She's gonna hate this, but that's why it's not that. I admire Cavill because he believes in the source material, and he's one of those few people that he's one of those few people that will fight tooth and nail to make sure that you follow. Like Witcher, Superman, I'm pretty sure Highlander, all these characters, you know, have source material, and he's one that's a proponent to say, hey, You know, this is what fans came to see in the first place. This is what brought it. Don't change it and disappoint the fans.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I don't like Cavill as an actor because I feel like people were like, oh my God, he's so handsome. He's so over like sold as like this, the male gazy type of thing, right? He's fine. I respect him as a nerd though. Like that nerdy aspect as a person, I'm like, oh yeah, I mess with him. Like I see where he's coming from. But like certain scenes where he's acting, I'm just like,
yeah, deflecting.
It's fine.
Deflecting.
I would tell him to his face. I would tell him to his face and be like, Cavill.
No, but you know, here's the thing. Why is it that if I'm an actor and I'm trying to do a character, a serial killer or something, or become a cop, why do you want me to be with police officers to learn how to be a cop? To be the good cop. So why you don't do that with superheroes? Why you don't let them read about the person, feel the character, but you want to do your own character?
Vanessa Kirby, right? That's the girl who plays Sue Storm, right? In the new Fantastic Four. She went and she read a whole bunch of comic books, or I don't know if she was already a fan or whatnot, but there was an interview where they mentioned, like, oh, do you think her and Namor or whatever? And she was like, oh, yeah. Like, she knew what was going on because Sue had a relationship with Namor and the thing. And then the other guys were looking at her like, what? And that goes, someone who did the research and got involved. A lot of people just want, again, like going back to the cash grab.
No, I have one for you. I have one.
Okay.
Go, continue, finish.
They want the cash grab. That's his baby. The cash grabbing of being in these like properties and stuff like that, but also like going back to the like not letting actors who know these characters to do what they need to do. It's also because again the duality of a bad director and production. The people who are the producers who come in and be like, yeah, no, we don't like that. Even though we know it's about this, we're going to change this and this and this. And it's like, why would you even do that? Like, why label this that, but then do something completely else? And then you have this poor actor who's in love with his character now attached to it. I can't remember the movie. I'm trying to think of it. It'll probably come to me later where that happened. And the actor, like during the whole press release was like, this movie sucks. I'm not doing any of the promotion properly. And you could tell he hated the movie so much. And it was because it was not what it was supposed to be.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal,
he went to an actual comic book store. He picked up all the Punishers that he can consume when he was about to play the Punisher. And what was so hilarious is that he, I think in his mind that the whole thing that he was chosen for it may not have gotten out enough. No. The guy who's at the register said, yeah, you need this, you need this, you need this, and don't screw it up. Yeah. He said just like that, don't you screw it up. And he's like, okay, dude. And that's why we have the Punisher, the Punisher. I mean, Thomas Jane is one thing, but Bernthal?
Thomas Jane?
That's the Punisher.
And that's how you know when you're good.
Yeah.
Because when you see him, you don't even say his name. Oh, look, the Punisher.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Well,
I would say the same thing with Charlie Cox.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I would say the same thing if I saw Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Matt Murdock, right there. And he even got an award from the Blind Society because of the fact that he actually went out into the city with a stick and was, pretending blind. Yeah,
which apparently has been a problem of his now. I love John Bernthal. Me and him have the same birthday, by the way.
That's
so
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny in itself that you're an honorary blind man.
I
just thought about that. I'm like,
Deborah Ann Wool, her husband. Deborah Ann Wool is the one who plays Karen Page.
Oh.
Her husband's blind.
Yeah. Honorary blind man. Like, gotta go out there and hit a wall or something. Like,
But yeah, no. Like there's certain characters and actors who are really, really like devoted to bringing on-screen characters that should be given their dues, right? You know, these are people who are loving these characters, people who love the property and are coming for that. So I think that when you disrespect those people who are coming for that just because of a cash grab or because you want to give it to the general audience and not to the actual people who are the reason why that even came to be, that hurts.
Mm-hmm. That hurts.
That hurts.
And we'll be back with more of nothing. Hey, welcome back. She's broke, busted, and disgusted, and I still have nothing. Okay, so in continuing what we left off about having the power to give something to nothing and making something, well, I got one more here that we could talk about. What about the Acolytes? Do you give that show a second chance, or do you throw them to the lions?
I didn't see
or
it
why?
yet, and I was telling. So the thing is,
That's a hard one.
my thing is right. So I'm coming from the perspective of someone who is in fandom and hearing people talk about it in fandom, not the normies, not the outsiders, the general public, fandom, people who were fans of Star Wars. And from what I understand, a lot of the hate was undue because everyone hated it because it was an Asian lead and a black lead. That is pretty much where a lot of the hate came from. Same thing where how like the hate for Rey came in because she was a woman. How dare we have a lead of Star Wars be a woman, right? That's where a lot of the hate, and even when I looked to see it, that's generally like they were like, oh, the show sucks, but then they couldn't tell me why. But then they'd be like, because this and that, and then it's like, okay, then because the dude's Asian and hot, and the girl's black and hot, and like there was nothing else I could find out on why the show was bad and the representation of what it was bringing to the screen.
I think people need to just look at it like it's a new show and then judge it on that. But if you start judging it because, oh, well, this show back in the days had this and that, it's gonna be no good because it's not gonna compare. So watch it as a new. I watched it as a new. I didn't like the stories that it was trying to portray.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. Now, character-wise, it was okay for me. Like, you know, I didn't care for the Asian, black. I didn't care because they were characters. I'm watching it as new.
But was it bad, or was it just
No,
like?
it was just okay.
Yeah, but maybe like in the sense that did they develop everything, or was it? Did it seem like? Because I know this happens with some shows.
But
Where
they didn't develop.
They didn't develop. No.
No. Let me finish what I was gonna say. That usually when a show like a first season, it'll be like introducing ideas and something that they're gonna go into more in the next season, but then they never get the chance to.
No.
They don't get the chance to have a second season, so we don't get information
Well,
on what's going on or why they presented things a certain way.
They had enough time to do it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. This is how, and I kept on saying, well, she hasn't seen it yet, so
I don't care.
She'll see it
like-
You're not a
anyway.
big fan of it.
First of all, I'm also not the person who's gonna get mad at you for spoiling at me and feel like you destroyed my whole world.
No.
If you act like that, grow up. Please.
Here's the thing, and I've said it before and in the past. The show had promise. I saw that they were trying to show that the Sith are not the only ones who are capable of, how can I say, scandalism,
Right.
and that they're not the high end of the light as they portray themselves to be in front of the Senate, because hey, they have an audience that are looking at them. They're supposed to represent the good, the kind, the benevolent of the Force, and then the Sith have to be looked at as evil all the way because they want to control, they want to rule with an iron fist. It's all subjective when you look at it between the two. So they had this mystery with this one particular child, but the child was a twin. But how she became a twin, and the thing is, that's when the conspiracy starts, because they start acting like, you know, yeah, we were there 16 years ago. It's like, okay, what the hell happened? And then when they go this back and forth, they don't give enough context. It's like you're there, and it's like, yeah, it's another piece, but the piece didn't seem to fit right. It didn't feel right.
When you watch it, because this is me, I don't know if you felt like they threw the twin because they had nothing else to do. Like they threw that story. That's how I felt.
Right.
Like they threw a twin story because you were filling a gap or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying. They didn't feel
Cohesive,
Right.
right?
It was like jump here, then jump, like he said.
It was like they had a whole bunch of cool ideas. They were like, this would be a cool
And they
idea.
threw it
This would be a
together.
cool idea. And then they made the series, but none of it connected.
Right.
What he said in
Remember-
the beginning was true.
Yeah.
Like, okay, were they evil or were they good? And the other one.
But we had that whole
Exactly.
conversation.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
I
too.
thought they were going
I
and
literally
liked
had
it.
a whole conversation with him about the
Yes.
because we were talking about like what would we choose, and I was like, but at the end of the day, the representation that's on screen is not what it is. I did say though that I think the worst thing to have happened to Star Wars was that they continued the storyline of these characters who had already succeeded in like defeating this great evil,
Right.
and then 30 years later, oh, by the way, evil's still here and it's worse. Like, are you serious? They fought through all that just for it to get worse.
All they needed is
That was the dumbest thing Star Wars ever did. What they should have done is kept going backwards. Keep going backwards. Keep giving us backstories. Give us
the
different
beginning of it
leading
all.
to like other characters or whatever. That's what they should have stated. They should have not tried to create a new trilogy. Or if they did create a new trilogy, show it like, okay, now it's, and I want to say like Star Trek, the prosperous era.
I liked that. I
Yeah.
liked that. Before he became Darth Vader, he was friends with Luke. You know, like
Yeah,
all this.
yeah. The continuation should have been them in their prosperity. 30 years later, okay, what has happened now? Like, yes, there's still going to be fractions that they probably have to deal with, but not to the extent of a whole nother Death Star or Death Planet, whatever, like being created. Like it. Like I remember watching it, and I'm being so enraged.
I'm more on this one. I thought they were going to go with.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not bad. Maybe they are good. Because like in the first couple, I'm like, oh, so they're trying to make it look like the Sith.
Yeah.
Is really the good.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it.
No.
They just like, okay, that story sounded good in the first half an hour, but we're gonna go with something else.
It's like the example I cited to you before about the fact that Thanos in the movies you understand, and then sometimes can relate to. You don't agree with his methodology, but you can understand and relate to where he's coming from. So I understand what they were trying to do here with, you know, they put a shadow on the Sith, but the thing is, the Sith are doing something and they believe in it, and it's happening. You know, the one that they're saying is like, well, there's a master, there's a Padawan, and there's a master. But the thing is, they introduce the Sith, they introduce the Jedi, and then the fact that the Jedi is not so perfect. But then they introduced a whole nother faction
Not so
of
perfect.
Force
Like they weren't a
users.
cult.
And they were a cult, but they're Force users. But I'm like, what? Give me some substance about them. I was like, you have me right there. I'm right there, but I'm not ready to commit. No, because now, and I would say like the best scene that I liked was when they brought in all the Jedi to confront, and then was supposed misdirection with the Asian character. He was a Sith, but it's like he didn't distract me enough, or was that what you're trying to do? Make me think, well, he's not doing a good job. But he is a Sith, and then he comes down.
When I seen it, I was like,
But
why is he there?
But the badass scene was that where the Jedi are here, she's here, and in the background you just see him dropping out from the background. I'm like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That was the part I was hooked on. I was like, that is so cool. And then the lightsaber battle between all of them, like, oh, this dude got skill. And then that was it. I lost it.
So do you think Acolyte is worse than The Mandalorian? Because you know how much of a fucking a Mandalorian fan I am. And I did not like, sorry, not Mandalorian, Boba Fett, the Boba Fett show.
Oh, the Boba Fett one. I'm like trying to think for a second. I'm trying to think that.
My brain. Boba Fett, the show was done, I didn't like it. And I love Boba Fett. Boba Fett was one of my favorite characters. Like, that's why when The Mandalorian came, I was so excited. But yeah, Boba Fett, I felt like it was dumb. Like, I was like, what was the point of this? Like, this was like this little.
I'll say this.
They didn't add anything to the storyline. They didn't add anything to his lore. They didn't give me anything that I was like desperate for, or that I was like, oh my God, this added more to his character. Like, nothing. There was nothing other than we got to see him on screen, which is cool. So do you think that Boba Fett was worse, or sorry, the Acolyte was worse than that?
Okay, the Acolyte would probably be a step over it, because with Boba Fett, he was trying to take over Tatooine. And some of the parts or characters that I like, for instance, Cad Bane. When they brought Cad Bane in, I was like, ooh. And then they brought in the other Wookiee. I forgot his name now, the black and white Wookiee. And I was like, oh, damn, that's this guy from the comic book lore, and as well as I think one of the animated features. I'm like, oh, they're bringing him into live action. But the one thing that was a true and not diverted was he was there to take over. He was going to want to be like the crime boss of Tatooine. Yeah. Yes, you saw his past and what had happened to him being not almost digested, and then the Hutts saved him. And then he learned from the Hutts, learn their culture, everything. And then he became, of course, Boba when he saved the Hutts from the rival gangs, from the Hutts' rival gangs that were going in and stealing everything. So it was on course. It didn't deviate too much. They brought in some characters. And of course, the only thing I didn't like was they brought in a Mandalorian story in there. Like that one episode was all Mandalorian and him going to see Grogu with Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka. I'm like, what does that have to do with any of this?
They were trying to bank on.
I know they were trying to bring the two together.
I think they were trying to do one of those
crossovers. Yeah, I know.
But then it came out to be like, you're trying to make it seem like this was a spin-off of your show. That's what at the end I felt like.
Yeah.
Oh,
I understand.
You trying to say that
Like-
because of this show came out?
No.
No, Boba Fett
No.
is why this
Right.
is here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because-
That's how that episode made me feel. That part of it
Mhm.
made me feel. First, I said, "Oh, maybe they're gonna do a crossover soon."
No.
Then, as it kept going, I'm like, "Wait, you're trying to make it seem like it's a spin-off.
Mhm.
It's not a spin-off." That's
Yeah.
what I said. The whole thing to me is called the time slot. Meaning,
Mhm.
I don't know what else to put. I just throw this one in there.
Right.
Without thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have seen
And, like,
that
I-
as a part of the beginning fourth season, and then him going there, and then him and Grogu, that was so sweet, get reconnected with each other. That, okay, I get that. This is part of Mandalorian season 4, but part of Boba Fett, and it's like close to like the 4th episode. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm sitting me there and I saw it twice.
invested.
I loved it. I was
Yeah.
invested. I liked it.
I I had to watch it as a fan too because I was just like,
Right, but the
Once I
rest,
pass 3 episodes, even if it's boring, I have to.
dude, I was
Yeah, you
so
have
mad.
to. It's-
I was
Because it's gonna stay in my keep watching this.
you're gonna
And
think
I
like, how did this finish?
yeah, but I was rage watching it by that point, and I was so mad because I was just like, there's not anything happening. Like, there's no story progression. There's
I'm
no
sorry.
this.
I'm sorry, babe. I'm just like, I'm sitting there. I'm picturing you go, "Ugh, finish already.
Yo, I
Fast
was!
forward,
That is
you.
I
literally
did a couple
in
times.
my
I got
mind.
over some of
That is literally what was happening in my mind multiple times. Like, that's why sometimes if you see me kind of like glaze out when we're watching a show, it's either one or two things. I'm like lost in something I just heard and I'm like really like thinking about it, or like I just mentally have just shut down so I can
Rage watch it.
just not allow myself to feel anything and just
You can sit there and put a pinter, and it's like,
yeah. But well, either way, I guess I'll have to watch it. So I'm gonna have to sit down and watch the Acolyte anyhow.
yeah. I mean, I'm not
After we
gonna say.
finish Attack on Titan, that is.
Oh, okay, no
Yes.
problem. And on that thought, as usual, we've ended nothing.
And yet did everything.
Everything. What can I say? Again, as always, thank you for joining us on this ride, and we look forward to the next ride with you. Until then, I am Mo.
And I'm the spawn of Satan.
Live long and prosper.
Welcome to the zone where geeks collide, where comics and heroes come alive. Marvel, DC, Starfleet in the mix. Lightsabers flash, we're nerding out quick. Nerd